Okay, so I just recently did a review on the 980 Ti in 2019 and went over how it performs and everything. But this is a Kingpin card. This is what I used for the review, and I didn't do any overclocking. So in this video, now we're gonna overclock this thing, and we're gonna take off the air cooler and put on something a little bit bigger. This actually had like a ton of thermal paste. EVGA really slathered it. So we're just going to put a EK block here. It's the Supremacy VGA whatever. I don't know. It's a big base plate. It fully covers the IHS and everything. And I actually seem to have lost the screws for this. Or, well, they're probably on another card somewhere. Because I use this thing for like everything. So we're actually just going to put some Kingpin mounting screws on here for the LN2 pot, and I've already checked, these fit fine, so it should be fine. And we're going to use some cryo knot. Okay, so we have all the mounting on here, and we're just going to put the block on. I'm going to use quite a bit more thermal paste than normal, just because it is a GPU. And we're working bare die, so it's better to have too much than not enough, and that looks like we're not gonna have enough. Alright, so we're gonna use some GC Extreme to add a little bit more. I know it's not ideal, but hopefully it won't create hot spots on the die. We'll see. That should be enough. Alright. So, moment of truth here, we're going to put the block on, and you're going to laugh, but I've actually destroyed a 780 Ti doing this, not watching out what I was doing, and part of the block just kind of crushed the die. Guess I know for those of you with LN2 pots, Kingpin pots, this isn't normally how the screws go, I know, but we're not putting an LN2 pot on, we are putting a water block on. So it should be fine. My only concern is enough mounting pressure, because these are really small thumb screws. I can't squeeze the die down anymore. So it's probably hopefully okay. Okay, so here's the setup. It's a 480 millimeter custom loop. And it's about 60 millimeters thick, and we just have the Kingpin card there connected, a big reservoir, and I also have a fan on the card just to cool the VRMs. So this is the setup. There's all-in-one connected to the 9900K, and that's at 5 gigahertz. So hopefully this is going to be more than enough. Should be way more than enough. So we're just going to run Firestrike real quick, get a baseline, see what we're working with. Alright, so it looks like just stock this card is 2115 for the graphics score. So we're going to open up hardware info, look at how much power we're pulling. So it's about 250 watts. And it looks like boost clock is 1442, so 1442 megahertz. So that's our starting point. So let's open up Msi Afterburner, set everything to high, so core voltage is maxed out, power target's maxed out. We're going to set a 75 megahertz on the clock, open up Furmark, and just see where we're at. Just get a super rough range that we can start out with. So it looks like 75 megahertz is good. So we're going to go to 100, see what happens. And this is usually pretty quick, you can tell. So we're gonna go to 150 just to see. And firmware crashed. So 150 is no good. So we're gonna open it back up, go to 100, do our fire strike run, see what we get. Alright, so at 100 megahertz on the core, it's 21,137 for the graphics score, which puts us at a total of 19,691. So we're just gonna go back to Msi Afterburner, go to 120 since we know 150 doesn't work in for a mark. Apply that, so we'll do another run, and it looks like it crashed out. So all the funny blocks means it's no good. So we're gonna just restart, try again. Okay, so here we are. This is the final overclock I got, and I had to actually switch to precision XOC because Msi Afterburner was kind of wreaking havoc with the classified tool. So we're at 21,691, and I know that's not a big increase. Our GPU core is at 1542, and our memory clock is at 3,911, and we are using K-Boost. Yeah, I had a lot of issues with Msi Afterburner with the classified tool. So with the classified tool, we're sitting at 1.38 volts on the core and 1.69 volts for the memory. We got OCP off, vdroop off. That's what we ended up with voltages. And I know this doesn't actually seem like a big increase in score because quite frankly it's not, but it seems like to me that this Kingpin cards comes from the factory pretty well in the sweet spot as far as overclocks go. So you're not going to get too much out of it. We are pulling nearly 400 watts just off the card. Plus, if we scroll up and we go to the CPU, we're pulling another 123 watts or so just during the benchmark. Keep in mind this isn't a CPU benchmark, so it's not like crazy power draw for the CPU. But that's still a good 500 plus watts. Plus, you have other stuff in the system as well, so like memory and fans. So we're probably pulling close to like 550 watts from the wall. And actually the cooler did pretty good. The 480 millimeter cooler, if there was ever any doubt. It's at 34C for maximum temperature. And that was only because in the classified tool, I did put it to 1.5 volts just to see if it would scale just even the slightest bit. And it doesn't. So I lowered it back down. But that's where that 34C came from. Otherwise, we would barely be breaking 30C on this radiator. So the final score was 20,279. Okay, so that was the overclocking of this card. So it's all back together. Everything's all good. It's back in one piece. I was a little disappointed I didn't get better results on the giant water cooler, but truthfully, these cards don't really scale on ambient cooling. They scale a bit, but you have to remember that this card comes with a pretty big overclock from EVGA. So like reference cards are like 1,000 megahertz. This thing comes with like 1,400 some megahertz when it's boosted. So it's operating really high just out of the factory. So you're not going to get too much out of it on air cooling. And even though this is a Kingpin card, if you're just air cooling this, the stock frequencies are actually not incredibly high. I think it's third or fourth fastest AIB card. So there are faster cards from the factories, but like I said, you're not going to get too much out of it just overclocking it on top of an already pretty high overclock. So if you enjoyed this video and like to see more, think about subscribing, put a like down below in the video, and until next time, bye.